and it's another episode of What Is? And today's what is BEA and BookCon? Well, I'm glad you asked, internet that never asked the question. BEA stands for Book Expo America, and the BookCon stands for the Book Convention. These are both major exhibits, expos that are held in the United States of America. They're held every year. Now, first off, I gotta apologise. A lot of the footage that you're gonna see that I took at BEA, I took holding my tripod camera, and I have weak arms. I have really weak arms, guys, and I get the shakes. So it looks like there's a little bit of a mini earthquake, and I am sorry for that. I will work. Book Expo America, BEA, has been held for a number of years. It is basically a trade show oriented towards publishers, having stands and hosting them and selling their products to other retailers. So, for example, if you were a bookseller in Atlanta, Georgia, and you were thinking, I need to buy or hear about amazing books that I want to purchase for my store for the rest of the year and even into 2017, you would head off to BEA and spend 2 or 3 days wandering the floor, meeting all kinds of publishers and editors and other retailers. You could attend panels about how to better sell your store. You could go to marketing expos on how to better work with your customers, a whole range of things. If you were an agent who was looking to acquire books to turn into films, you could potentially go there and meet with authors, and editors and publishers and whatnot. A whole range of the publishing industry attends BEA, from agents, authors, production people who are looking to show off new devices, and so many more I couldn't even tell you. This year I attended the Chicago BEA. It was the first time it had been held in Chicago in a number of years. Traditionally, it's held at the Javits Center in New York. Most of American publishing is New York based. So for a lot of people, they were talking about the fact they had to come to Chicago, which was interesting because a lot of people in publishing mentioned that they wish they could have been there and they couldn't have attended. However, I was walking around the floor and spoke to a lot of people in the sessions that I attended, and a lot of people had never been before, and because it was in Chicago, it was their first time. So, I don't know, it depends. If you want to hear more from the publishers, you may want to go to a New York one. If you wanted to have a lighter floor, a lot of commentary was about the fact that the floor wasn't so crammed and jammed, then maybe Chicago's the go. It is returning to New York next year in 2017, so New York is also a great place to visit, separate to that anyway. I mean, so Chicago, I loved them both. I attended BEA as a blogger because I thought you couldn't put vlogger in, so I attended that as a blogger. Yeah, look at me being all bloggy. Which is pretty exciting because it was my first time as not being an official publishing person, which was interesting. Part of that also gave me entry to, or I purchased entry into the blogger element of BEA, which was a interactive development blogger workshop that was hosted. It had a keynote opening. It then had some roundtable discussion groups that you could join and various other bits and pieces. I enjoyed that. If you're a blogger, vlogger, Twitterer, Instagrammer who has done it for a while, it may not be totally valuable. I found it to be basic-ish in terms of it was very much people who were either looking to get into it or very early in their days of blogging, vlogging, whatnot. And so I found a lot of the information, and I guess probably because of my professional history, I knew more than even maybe a semi-amateur blogger. I found a lot of it to be information that I knew the answers to, and sometimes on the table, when we were doing round tables, there were questions about how publishers respond and whatnot, and I ended up answering them. So, you're welcome, US Publishing, I helped you out there. In the afternoon session, however, it was great because Random House came and Penguin Teen came and gave us proofs. So, for all the BloggerCon people, I got to meet my lovely J-Niv, as I like to call her, Jennifer Niven, who I have spent many years talking to on email, but finally got to meet in the person for reals. Damn, she's lovely, super nice, and I got a proof of holding up the universe. So I haven't read it yet because it's so far away and there's so many things on my TBR, I've got time. I also picked up a proof of Gemini. I tried to keep my cool because the person who was giving it to me was very lovely and professional, and I was just like, oh no, thank you, that's very kind. And inside I was like, ah! So that happened, and then I ran away fast as I could before they could take it off me, and I hit the floor. So as you can see, the floor has got a range of exhibitors. All the major publishers are there, and a whole lot of publishers that we don't know about in Australia. Different types of books are there. Because of the crowd, it was a real mix of librarians and teachers meets retailers. It was really not a place to stop and talk at the BEA in terms of a lot of people were obviously looking to do business deals, and I was there as a blogger, so I couldn't really be all like, hey, here's my vlog that I had at that stage only done 2 videos for. So I kind of just moseyed and just looked at everybody's stuff, which was really great because on the Thursday, Friday, it was nice and spacious to do that. Then it turns into BookCon. Now, the BookCon has been a growing development of the publishing industry, along with BEA organisers and in conjunction with Repop, who run conventions like Comic-Con across America and also in Australia. And they wanted to look at conventioning the author process in terms of a lot of public had wanted to come to Book Expo America because it looked amazing, the guest list was amazing, and they kind of wanted to do it. They did it 2 or 3 years ago for the first time in New York. They had a massive turnout, and then they realised, hey, this is a good thing. And so on the Saturday at the end of the convention, BEA is the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday is the BookCon. The BookCon is open to anyone from the public, and you buy a ticket and you come along. If you've attended conventions and things, you're used to that kind of crowds, you're used to lots of lines and lots of activities and things like that. There were still great giveaways so that if you were going along to get a proof copy, you didn't miss out if you only attended the BookCon. A lot of exciting sneak peeks of things, a lot of amazing authors attended. To Australia.
Oh, hi to Australia.
I went to some fantastic panels. I went to the YA Blockbuster panel, which had Rochelle Mead, James Dashner and Cassandra Clare talking about their films and their book film process, which is really interesting to hear sort of people who'd had a very different experience in terms of how happy they were. And even hearing from Cassandra Clare about talking about how she got a second shot, hearing from Rochelle about how involved she really wasn't in the VA experience while still being enthusiastic about it in terms of the books were being made into movies. And in her mind, they are 2 separate things. As for all of the authors, they all said the same thing. James Dashner loves his movies. He thought they did a really good job, and he thought all the changes were great in terms of he knew that you have to make changes, and he was accepting of that. So that was really interesting. I then also attended a diversity panel. Now, I also attended a diversity panel during the BEA segment, and it was amazing. Both panels were incredibly smart, intelligent discussions about diversity in not only authors and representation, but behind the scenes in publishing and what the industry was doing to promote that in terms of to promote awareness, but also to actually make positive and real steps to see evolving diversity. I tweeted a lot from that, which is, if you go back through my Twitter timeline, you'll see. But there are some fantastic people out there really raising the profile, but also raising the idea of steps to take, actual things that businesses, authors, and the audience can all do to participate in making diversity in publishing not a thing, but an actual concrete done, check that listed, we are good. Obviously, it's one of those topics that good luck trying to capture that and get it solved in a panel. But people did a really, really good job. So I found that really interesting. And then I also went to a Blockbuster Leave Your Audience Hanging panel, which had Victoria Aveyard, Sarah J. Maas. I say Maas because it sounds fancy, but Maas. And Laini Taylor. And it was amazing. Now, I had not read at this stage, everyone, calm the farm, at this stage, any of these authors. I've been very busy, I'm sorry. So I kind of was glad that there wasn't any huge spoiler bombs, thank you, especially for that person who stood in the front of the queue line and tried to ask an incredibly spoilerific question, and the entire room went, no! Guys, come on, don't do that, not cool. I think it was about book 2 even, which is even worse. So that panel I found incredibly funny, and they were all great. They talked about what it's like to write ahead, knowing what they know, had they planned certain things, did they, their writing styles, a lot of them different completely, even in terms of what their offices were like. Victoria likes to see outside, she likes sunlight. Sarah J. Maas described herself as Gollum. She was a hermit. And yeah, it was a very funny panel. There was great crowds. It was a long day, so I didn't stay for the YouTube panel, but there was a huge amount of people lining up for that one as well. So that was pretty exciting. Overall, it was an amazing experience. It's been on my book bucket list to do for years. I'd been dying to go. So I was so happy to be able to do it. Would I recommend going? Absolutely, I would recommend going. I think I think the level of authors and publishing people attending for Australian fans is just next level. It's obviously a very big deal over there. And I think BookCon gets bigger and bigger each year. I know in 2017, they've already said it's going to be 2 days across a weekend, which is going to be amazing. It's expensive, obviously, to get from Australia to America. That's real. But you do come away with a lot. Now, the thing that I would say is that Book Expo and BookCon both have the opportunity to turn it into a proof grab expedition. And if that's what you want to do, sure. Not fine. I'm not going to say fine, but sure. I found for me, the more informative activities were to go to panels, both the author panels like BookCon, but also particularly the industry panels at BEA. I found them fascinating for a number of reasons about the topics they were covering, how people spoke. There was a lot of experts in the room who spoke on the panel that I got bits of information from that I was like, oh my God, I've never thought of that way, or what a brilliant way to attack it, or that's so true, or that's not true, sit down, you stupid fool. I never said that out loud, I just thought it in my head. I found that to be really informative. So if you do go to BEA especially, because that actually is a step up in terms of what you're paying for. You're paying a couple $100 to get into something. Use it. Don't just go along expecting to shove all your books in your bag and that's it, because it's not really fun. And I also kind of didn't want to be a greedy person. I genuinely believe I'm taking what I wanted to read. I didn't want to grab a book just because it was a book. And, yes, I did walk away with about 7 or 8 books, but every single book I genuinely thought, no, I want to read this. So I think that's my take on it, but I guess everybody has their own different take on it, and it's up to you how you decide you want to do it. But if you're an Australian who has the funds and is going to America for a summerish, because it's about to head into summer there, so it's perfect timing. If you're a book nerd, you would super love it. And yeah, I can totally recommend it. So I hope you enjoyed my behind the scenes BEA Book Expo trip. It was a bucket list tick for me, which was awesome. I had the best time. I did take a lot of books home. I did take a lot of excess baggage in the terms of pancakes and waffles and burgers that I ate in America, but I loved it. So what can I say?